Yes, I can see a lot of pressure coming out onto Watson. If he's onto Watson if he's not too careful. Ramses if he's not too careful into Amar's Razor. Like, this Razor just, it does so much work if Amar is enabled and if he has a good start. Like, again, with the shard timing this hero gets, it's kind of ridiculous just how oppressive 100 move speed minus is.
Yeah. Apologies for the swearing, by the way, Jonathan. I don't mean to swear. Not very nice of me at all. Even though you did swear yesterday, so I guess it was my turn. Anyway. Entity, doing a little bit of a cheeky wraparound here for the Radiant Triangle, it seems. There is a big smoke in the mid lane by 9 Pandas, though, and they're just hugging the tier 1 tower. So it seems like they're very well aware that Entity, with their draft, obviously want to go for a very early team fight, because they certainly do have the stronger level 1 team fight by the seams of it. But 9 Pandas are not going to make it easy. They just hold the tier 1 tower, just hug it, just wait for the information to come your way, and Entity are still searching for an opportunity to try and jump in.
I like this emphasis out from 9 Pandas. Like, they immediately drop double wards on mid just to watch this play from Entity. So they're very well aware. There should be some sentries coming out, but you already have the preemptive sentry out from 9 Pandas as well to protect one of the wards where the ping is. Doesn't lead to too much excitement, but does set up for that all-important mid-lane matchup for Kiyotaka and Stormer.
I'll see how it pans out. Like, Kiyotaka against his Pangali. Like, Stormer's played the Pango so many times. Like, this guy knows his hero like the back of his hand, but so does Kiyotaka with the Storm. You imagine it should be relatively even. We'll see if one side can gain an advantage over the other. See, Power Rune's going to be extremely important for both these heroes, and it's another thing, right? The last time we saw Stormer play Pango, he was just literally using Rolling Thunder every time to secure Power Runes. I swear the first 15 minutes of the game, we did not see one aggressive Rolling Thunder that game, so I imagine we might see a little bit more of that today.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to come out. Unless your Tusk rotates, it doesn't feel like you can expect too much from your supports, and that is if you really want to remove the Tusk from the Razor lane, which is pretty damn strong, as they are trying for a play already with the tag team.
They certainly are. Not going to work out this time around. Kataomi and ATF both having to back their way out. It's just so hard, right? With this level 1 Fatal Bonds, it just does too much damage. It's just too much, and then it summons these damn imps. They do even more damage for some reason. It's ridiculous.
It is. That, and you tie it in with a reflection. I mean, there's a lot of output here for Ramses to play with. It's not going to be the comfiest lane in the world for the Terrorblade, but your cooldowns do line up a lot better than the cooldown reliance onto Static Link. So Ramses should have himself a pretty good time. Lane control is also pretty in touch for solo. He's got a little bit of a pull, should be able to equalize the lanes, although they are feeding out double range creeps that they can't really go for the deny for. So at the least you're getting a small injection for some leveled spikes here on Entity's end. But
he's getting rather aggressive here. He's trying with the tag team again and the Static Link out. They're going to try for Ramses, and a nice shot to block him in. Ramses getting a little bit overconfident. Kataomi though dropping low, but not low enough. They'll get him eventually. ATF might also die for this, but I think them just killing the TB is going to feel good enough. As ATF, he will run his way out. Shadowwood is still ticking him down. He'll turn though. ATF? Suppose just thought I want the reset anyway. Gives the double kill over to Solo on the Warlock, but they got the TB. I'm not sure how worth it is, but it seems worth enough here for Entity.
It's not the worst thing in the world. For the side of Entity, you managed to suppress Ramses. You're showing the power of that tag team plus the blockage with the shards. So Ramses is going to, again, have to respect that. Metamorphosis is down as well with that commitment, so he's not going to be able to work the lane as easily now going forward. And the gold onto Solo, it's not amazing. I mean, an early full wand and an early boots is pretty nice for the Warlock, but it doesn't necessarily break that lane. So it's still manageable enough for Entity. Still taking a look at the other lanes, of course. Up top, you've got Miero on a Problem Beast along with Antares on that Grimstroke up against Watson and Fishman, although they're keeping that aggression down bot.
Yeah, ATF and Kataomi, they're doing fantastic work against Ramses, who's trying his best to run, but oh, they've got the damage. The Blood Grenade will prove to be enough from Kataomi to finish the job off. Now, that is a secondary kill on Ramses, who now has to walk back to the lane. Walk of shame time.
Yeah, and again, that's where the danger is for the 9 Pandas, right? If you don't manage to come out of these lanes running, especially for Ramses, like we've seen him have some rough lanes, and he is on the Terrorblade, so he can always dig into that jungle. But that does mean your Terrorblade's not going to be looking for those early timings, you know, the usual Dragonlance Yasha push.
Not again. I guess he should have walked. He probably should have just walked. Because now, without the TP, this time is actually going to be a walk of shame. And Solo's not looking too healthy either. They'll have to let him go. So ATF was out of mana for the Plasma Field, but they got Ramses, and this time, Jonathan, his TP is on 50-second cooldown. He is definitely walking.
Yeah, that's not a fun time. Has to pop the smoke to get into that lane. Stuck at level 2 on the Terrorblade. You've got your level 3 lining into level 4 now for the side of Entity. Again, we've seen Ramses have these really rough lanes on his Illusion heroes. He tends to farm up a Storm, but you're not going to see this Terrorblade join in at all. Not even for an early shove with a Metamorphosis at max level, let's say. He will have to just AFK farm, and if Entity keep that pressure up, you know, this Sven will outfarm.
They're going on Solo now. Another great shot from Kataomi. He's just so on point every time, but now with the TP rotation from Anantades, Kataomi might just get punished, and he will. Ramses will claim his life on the TB. But I tell you what, like, just the threat of this Razor Tusk is a bit too much, I think, and you can't always rely on Antares to rotate. You know, it's either he stays around or chances are they're going to rush in for a Static Link and Shards combo again. So, Fishman and Antares kind of meet each other at the Twin Gates, like, what are you doing here? Antares, he'll make his run out. He'll be okay. I think. I mean, he does have a level 2 glimpse up. So maybe not. Antares forced to fight now. Watson gonna make his move in. Nice glimpse back here by Fishman. And Antares for the Roshan. Roshan stunned up. Not attacking the Grip Stroke. He's down. Watson gets it.
Yeah, that's a great laning start for Entity. Finding all the punishment across every lane. Trying to take the gate through. Gets punished for it. Good read coming out from Entity to know that the support is just on its way back.
Yeah, Taka one creep away from level 6. So Stormstormer does try to go for something, but maybe just the Power Rune again. Just back his way out. Doesn't really dive deep for this one. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Solo's going for a bit of a fight. But Kiyotaka in the meantime does pick up an Arcane Rune. So now Stormstormer is in big trouble. The hands come out. Kiyotaka waves him goodbye. Meanwhile, bottom, Solo's down as well. But now ATF in danger. Here comes Antares, but they're going to try and go for the fight. Ramses will intervene to boot with the reflection. ATF will go down. Kataomi still trying for Antares. Might be able to get some form of a trade, but it's... Oh, the creeps!
He's blocked!
He is blocked!
Oh.
Yikes. What happened to a good old 1v1?
Oh, that's nasty. That's not a creep black that just usually happens. That's a terrible feeling for Entity, but overall, I think you're still pretty happy. That loss of Stormstormer mid is concerning, but you are, again, applying some decent pressure onto Ramses. You are starting to bleed some of that gold back, but Ramses is still going to have to sit back. He's going for the Midas play. He knows he needs to accelerate a little bit faster. They have managed to equalize the state of the game at the very least for these kills. You know, you're not getting as much as you'd want for Watson either. In terms of net worth at the very least, Ramses is actually sneaking by with a bit of an advantage. So that is something to kind of stem the tides of Entity trying to play this hyper-aggressive game. And again, you've managed to pin down Stormstormer just a bit. Kiyotaka is just showing how much he knows with his comfort on the Storm. Stormstormer, we've seen him on this Pango when he's behind, right? Like, we know he's just going to try to build up into his arcs, into Diffusal. But again, that might be time that you're buying that's just going to be punished by the Pandas. They're just naturally shoving in mid. Kiyotaka knows they lack control.
The top lane, they are making the jump in on Fishman, but he got a glimpse away. Solo's going to die for this by the looks of it. Miero, unable to help, is mid lane now. Antares does go down. Get another support here thanks to Stormstormer. They'll argue over some 8-minute power runes now. It's going to be top. Kiyotaka gets lucky again. Nice little haste rune for him this time.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a shame for Stormstormer. I feel like he does need these runes to be aggressive. Kataomi?
Yeah, I mean, he's just getting a D ward off, but it's going to cost his own life as Antares does take that one. At least he got the D ward before he went down, I believe, so happy days in terms of that, but does cost his own life.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And for now, like, you might be having pretty good lanes as Entity, but I think the one concern is Kiyotaka on his Storm is having a very good time himself.
That he is. And again, despite that slowdown on Ramses, I mean, he's got the Midas up, he's got the jungle to go into. You're not really able to mount an offensive into that jungle, and you're not really committing onto these objectives just yet from Entity to get that space out to slow down Ramses. So this still plays into the 9 Pandas playbook, where, yeah, we might have a rougher laning start. Ramses is just going to sit back and farm for at least 15 to 20 minutes, and if he's not contested, you're still going to have a good timing to reach here. I think it's on Entity to kind of play fast. You kind of want to just get running with this Razor. Amara is saving up for the BKB. You are getting decent space out once more for Watson, but he's not really building up that much of a lead. I don't think they've had the time to really stack up too much as well for that Sven. So you're not going to be able to just completely eclipse this Terrorblade and farm, or at least get a major item advantage over him early on.
Mid lane on Tardis. I mean, there's rotations incoming. They're going to try and help out. In fact, now the Static Storm drop, but Kiyotaka does avoid it completely. Fishman is gone. Kataomi, he'll be the next target. Stormstormer getting stunned mid-rolling Thunder as well, apparently, as Kataomi is just as good as dead.
I always forget that that little pulverized stun does go through debuff immunity. It's not just targeting
Golem drop, Stormstormer. Well, this guy cannot get a power root. It goes top again. Onslaught out. Perfect from Miero, and Stormstormer's just down. ATF, he's going to try and rush towards the other side. But guess what? There's a double damage rune waiting for the Storm if he wants it. It seems like Kiyotaka's reset back towards the fountain. ATF's going to try and go for it as Solo rushes towards it as well. Miero, he'll go for the Pulverize. ATF does eventually pick up the DD. No, he doesn't. He leaves it. Instead, back towards Miero, but Miero's actually out of there. Now it's on to Solo on the Warlock, but the Inkswell movement speed is going to allow him to run for a little bit, but not for long. Even Watson came in. They left the DD rune for Watson that whole time.
That works out. Some nice kills coming out for the side of NC. Not the biggest ones in the world. The 2 supports with a mass movement mid. And again, just look at the comparison here. Watson's forced to show up, try to make something happen with a God Strength, whereas Ramses is still farming up a Storm. Mind you, he is starting to pull ahead. These kills do pile up. They do find the objective they need, so they can start setting up for these aggressive wards on Entity and start to shrink that jungle down. And that's where the issues will lie for the Pandas, if they can't hold on to that aggression that Entity's looking to pump out now. I mean, with a Static Storm in hand, sure, the first usage wasn't ideal, but now that's something Kiyotaka has to always be cautious about, because one big silence on top of even just the Storm, it's more than enough. It's only really the Storm that you can't fully control in the middle of these engagements here.
Bottom lane, the pressure does begin from ATF. They try to apply a bit of pressure here into the mid-tier 1 tower, but it's really only Solo. Entity should be able to get away with this pretty freely. Mira is doing the same thing across the map, mind you, on the Primal Beast, so Tier 1 towers just being exchanged, but Entity, they're actually going to smoke up and go through the twin gates. Heading back towards their own Tier 1 tower, they're going to have a look around for Miero. They should have him. He'll show underneath the Tier 1 tower. Smoke's still not broken, but they're actually avoiding him. Kiyotaka perhaps is the target they want, and they've got him. A perfect Static Storm. The patience from Entity to find the right target. And Kiyotaka, no, he's not dead. Oh, the glimpse, but it's still not enough. Kiyotaka! How? Antares? He's gonna die for this happily, mind you. How does their Storm get out of that?
That was so on edge. He managed to zip away the glimpse back. Not enough damage would just... It's a maxed out glimpse. I thought that would have been enough. Did he dodge the damage tick by just... He dodged the damage. He was still pulled back, yeah. But he dodged the damage with Ball Lightning. That is so strange. I thought it was like an instantaneous apply, but there you go. Manages to bail out and waste a lot of time from the side of NTT. Again, that's a full commitment coming out from them to try to find that kill. It's time and space for Ramses to farm. A little bit of space for Kiyotaka on his return. And he did eat up some of that jungle when they were coming into him.
Mid lane.
Now.
Like to jump in onto the task. Kataomi is just getting deleted. Snowball, though, onto the creep wave. He's going to drag him back. Zip.
Solo?
Go back.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Looking for the roll in. Out of mana on Kiyotaka, so you can't re-engage. Just to get the stun off onto Antares, another support going down. You have to appreciate that little ballsy play coming out from our Warlocks. They do manage to find Amar while if that action breaks out. A nice movement out from Miero and Ramses to isolate that lonely Razor. 12 to 13, Entity 1k up. And Entity, I mean, they're really focusing in on what 9 Pandas are trying to do. They're getting this decent response out to the movement. I do love that Kiyotaka is going for this kind of aggressive play. It's not quite the norm for the Storm to kind of do it. You know, especially without the mana sustain that you normally see with a Storm, but Kiyotaka's just weaving in and out. It feels like there's no downtime for the Storm, really. And that is somewhat of a point of concern, but not really. I mean, Stormer's not too far ahead, about 300 gold. Does have the Diffusal ready to go into Pango, and that's where things can get a little bit dicier for that Storm. Just the man burn in the middle of these engagements without a battery. It's going to feel a lot more restrictive for Kiyotaka if they don't manage to pin down that Pangolier. Still, you've got the Blink ready to go on Watson, so that should help him out in kind of joining his team, getting some good positions out to get a big usage out from that Stormhammer, and they're going to smoke up to kind of reveal that item. See what they find. Swing down bot here. Kiyotaka could be the target again, but this guy's just too damn slippery. They've got vision. Solo would not be the ideal. They're going to get dewarded as well. Still dipping down onto the lower lane. Kiyotaka? Surely he dies this time. Hey, they got the stun. They got the static storm. He's gone. No escapes for the Storm this time around. And it takes a lot of committal, but you know, it pays off. That's the blink reveal of Watson. That is still space coming through, but you slow down the Storm. You stop this timing on the Kai Sanj, and you break off elsewhere as well. Trying to force something out. Stormer on the chase, but does not fully commit to roll onto the high ground. So, 1-0, 1k lead coming out from Entity. Again, I like what they see in this game right now.
Oh,
and
hello,
I do
Jonathan.
believe...
I'm back.
Hello.
Thank you for solo casting for a moment there, John. We appreciate it. Very, very good play-by-play as always. I'm back to reclaim my job.
Oh, thank God. The viewers had it on me. Don't you worry, Mike. No one knows the difference.
They always did, John. They always did. Kiyotaka. I saw them take the Storm down earlier on. It's so much emphasis on shutting down the Storm this game from Entity, which you can agree with because you know how great this guy is when it comes to Storm. So much being applied to him, though, just kind of means you're forgetting about everyone else, right? Like, it just feels rough in a 5v5 if you have to commit the Static Storm just on Kiyotaka and just hold him down long enough to take him out, while ignoring Ramses, for example, and Miero.
Yeah, but that's the issue with this draft from Entity, and that's where the Storm shines, right? Your hard lockdown for Storm is basically Static Storm. You know, that is it. That's your longest duration stun. That's your big AoE control to stop that Storm, to deny an area for him to play in. And look at the confidence of Kiyotaka, just still playing in that top jungle. They've got the D-wards. They don't really have the best of vision right now on Entity. They've been completely D-warded by Solo. Like, he's just finding all of these right spots to drop the sentries and cut off the information flow for Entity. And for 9 Pandas, again, as you mentioned, with all that attempts on Kiyotaka, Ramses has been scaling up quite nicely on this Terrorblade with the Midas. Scotty not too far off. He's number 2 in net worth, only about 600 behind the Sven, which doesn't feel great for the Sven, considering how well this hero can flash farm. Spent a lot of time joining these rotations in. We'll have the BKB at the least on the Sven, so that is something that will feel pretty impactful for the side of Entity in forcing these fights out. Full Kai Sanj up for Kiyotaka though, so again, locking him in is going to be tougher.
Ramses, he gets caught. Fishman setting up here for Storm. Storm going to move in. Ramses still dropping. Maybe he's saved for a moment, but no. Stormer still grabs it. They will punish. They will take down both Stormer and Fishman, but it does cost them a TB.
Yeah, it's Pretty big punishment coming out from Entity. It forces the full response out from the side of 9 Pandas, forces out the Chaotic Offering as well, so you don't have to worry about that in the follow-up fight for Entity if they will look for it. This is space going out now for Watson and of course for Amar. You know, he's got the full BKB on the Razor, he's going for a Lincoln's, going into a refresh, would probably want that shard as well, just have an easier chase down, but doesn't feel necessary just yet. Was thinking about going to the gate, but will stick to farm. Gonna have to pull back with the side of the Pandas showing themselves in that jungle. Now, they're being really efficient though. Watson's on the opposite side. Again, disassembly on the Echo Saber to have that BKB. They're going for Roshan though on the Pandas.
I mean, why not? Try and take this one away. Entity, they are not in position to try and contest this right now. Like, they seem to have no idea it's happening. It could be a very free Roshan to be had here for the side of 9 Pandas. They are certainly getting away with it. Yeah, no contest. Entity, they either don't know or they don't care. Roshan is going for 9 Pandas for free. Aegis will be taken by Kiyotaka. And now you really are afraid of fighting these guys 5v5. You kill the Storm once, sure, no problem. But kill him the second time? I don't think so.
Nah, it's gonna be a lot tougher. Again, you're heavily reliant on that static storm. I think just one stun from Sven is not gonna cut it. The snowball's not gonna cut it. Maybe chain stuns coming out from Rolling Thunder could be the way, but it's easier said than done to try to apply perfect rotations out from Stormer there. And the side of the Pandas, again, they're lagging a little bit behind that word. It's not that big of a gap. 2k up. Ramses, Scotty only 400 gold away. I think once you manage to get a little bit more protection on that Terrorblade, it starts to feel even more oppressive. You've got the fresh BKB for Miero ready to run here as well. It all boils down to how Entity take these fights, and they're going to try out with a smoke here.
Kiyotaka. Keep in mind, he has a double damage room bottled up here on the Storm. Katomi's going to jump in. Kiyotaka going after Fishman. Does waste the Static Storm completely, and now just looking to burst down the Disruptor. The Storm has no problems with this. Well, they're still trying to deal with the Grimstroke right now. And Titus goes down, but he does at least get some spells off beforehand. Meanwhile, Watson trying to deal with Kiyotaka in the meantime. Kiyotaka now out of mana. Is still running as Miero does drop to boot. In we go again for Fishman, but the Aegis is now down. They've lost 2 already. See if they can... Oh my goodness! Yeah, never mind what I said, John. Never mind what I said. That's a lot of damage.
That's a heads-up play from Watson. He stuns the creep to take care of that storm as he respawns, so he doesn't have to worry about targeting and that microsecond of response from Kiyotaka. They managed to get a good grip onto that Aegis, and they weren't set up for it on 9 Pandas. They're just taking these skirmishes as a 3-man unit. They didn't have solo around. They didn't have the golem to play with. Ramses isn't showing up just yet in comparison to how active Watson is. And Kiyotaka wasted all his mana dancing across the static storm while Fishman stood near dead center. So he couldn't use his static remnant to try to build up overload. He had to use the zips, and he just didn't find that kill. Like, just so much mana. Way too much mana wasted. You're not durable enough in Miara to tank through, and yeah, it's this little play. Takes care of the first life, aggroes the creeps, like that, and then gets the stun.
Wow,
what
that
a
is
smart
clever.
play.
That is clever. Wow. Even aggroing the creeps. I was sitting there like, wait, where's the creeps? Where's the creeps? And then, oh, the aggro comes in. Very, very smart from Watson. Quick thinking. Well, that, I mean, the Aegis is now down. Kiyotaka, it amounted to nothing.
And that's a big Aegis to lose. You know, you don't have anything defensive on Kiyotaka. BKB still being farmed up. You've bought a lot of space for Ramses, but you're starting to bleed out in these other cores. Like Kiyotaka and Miero with these deaths are starting to fall behind here. Another smoke out from Entity. They don't have many long cooldowns to wait for. They can just keep going.
Well, they miss out on the initiation onto Solo. Solo is out of the fight, or rather in the base now. 9 Pandas, all of them just trying to run, realizing that Entity are around the corner. It seems like with the Twin Gates usage, everyone else is going to be able to get out as well. So 9 Pandas will not get punished in a bad team fight here against Entity. The thing is, though, like with 9 Pandas, I keep I keep saying these guys are going to become a problem soon, but the Entity boys, I'll tell you, John, they seem to be finding all the answers, still holding on to a 3k advantage. Sure, Ramses is top of the net worth board on the TB, but the impact has not been felt yet. You know, Ramses is sitting at 2, 4, and 5 in terms of KDA right now. He's not been having the greatest game, at least yet.
No, certainly not. But again, he's managed to really farm efficiently, which is really just a signature of Ramses. No matter what kind of game he's having, he will be number 1 in net worth at some point, and he is at the moment. The issue is, again, that farm distribution, it's not looking as smooth here for the Pandas. Entity, it's much smoother between Stormer, Amar, and Watson. They're managing to really be the aggressors. They're running around. They've got that blink on Kataomi, doing massive work. His Ag's not too far off as well for the Tusk. And having that kick into the Terrorblade, having that kick to work up against all of that debuff immunity to relocate the Terrorblade into the back line, it's going to be really oppressive, even if Ramses finds off this farm. So it just gets a lot more complicated, though. They're not going to force anything out, just being cautious.
They've thought about it. Too many heroes right now from Entity just hanging around this Pango. Mind you, Watson is not there and neither is Fishman. It's only 3 heroes from Entity around this area. Miro, he's going to make the jump in. Stormstormer does get the Rolling Thunder in time, though. I guess you get that forced out, you might not have to worry about it for another minute. Maybe you can force a fight now as well off the back of the BKB for Kiyotaka. And they do have a smoke ready on Antares, so I think the smoke might be coming very, very soon, unless Miero dies at top lane, in which it looks like
Fishman?
he just may. But they're going to go for the fight. Ramses is also there. They'll kill off Fishman first. In comes Kiyotaka. He's on to Kataomi, but the snowball, it's going to buy a little bit of time to drag them back the other way, even saving ATF. In comes Watson now, but the golem drop. Solo, he found 4 of them with that. Oh, boy. And now ATF also caught. Forced to fight. It's not looking good for him. He's down.
Oh, that positioning from Entity was not clean this time. You can't afford to lose Fishman first. He didn't manage to pop the Static Storm. Without that Static Storm, and it just makes these fights a lot harder. Mind you, with the BKBs up on 9 Pandas, the Static Storm's not a major concern, but it helps you with a backline. It helps maybe prevent now the Warlock and the Grimstroke from getting their spell combinations off. You got the good Solar, you got a good Soulbind, you got a really good Golem going here for Solo, and again, Fishman just kind of running in, out of position, and that punishment is huge for 9 Pandas. To equalize the game, these BKBs do make a massive difference. It's that BKB timing on 2 of these cores for Storm and for Terrorblade to have it together at the same time. And now they're starting to reprioritize the farm. They allow Antares to get the Midas. He can go for his 4-stap, more than likely the Ags afterwards. Dark Portrait on Sven is going to be a big issue for the side of Entity. Like, that it does so much damage. Like, the Sven will have to watch himself, especially if he gets caught in that while God's Strength is up. That illusion is just gonna hurt way too much with how the Pandas are playing around, with how clumped up these fights are ending up.
Oh, Ramsey's testing the old BKB, just making sure it works. We've confirmed it does. Very well done. Very good.
At the least, he didn't pop his max BKB, you know, he popped the 8-second one. Could have been worse, I suppose.
Sometimes you've got to try twice, you know, just test it twice before you know it works. Before the next team fight.
It's still within warranty if you try it twice, you know?
Of course. Money back guarantee for Ramses. Top play. Storm. Tier 1 tower. I mean, it's basically as good as gone. 9 Pandas, they are kind of around the area, prepping for a fight. Solo is there, but Solo's just looking for the quick deny on the tier 1 and does get it. Does Entity stick around? And the answer seems to be yes. They'll fight over what appears to be the 28-minute Wisdom Rune, I believe. Hoping somebody comes for it, of course, but they do reveal their position. Tormentor is also still there if they want it. Kiyotaka looks like he wants the Wisdom Rune, but it may cost him. He picks it up. Oh, barely avoids a snowball, but is still running, and it seems like he will survive. Antares the one to go down. It's complete chaos in the top lane. They'll grab up Watson, but Watson's taking no damage. ATF's in as well. Ramsey's is down. Miera's trying to run, but they'll glimpse him right back. Like yesterday, John, they always go for the damn Wisdom Rune. I mean, you knew they were there too. You knew they were waiting.
They saw it. It's really greedy coming out from Kiyotaka. He could escape, but the team had to commit. Mind you, it wasn't the cleanest from Entity. The shards blocking Stormer made it a little bit awkward with a Rolling Thunder, but you find everything you want to. It's just a really fragmented fight with their own BKBs coming off there on the side of Entity. They didn't even need to pop the Static Storm this time around as well from Fishman. Just get caught in the middle. Really big AoE stuns coming out from Watson, and the Sven's just allowed to cleave through. And they managed to get a decent pulverize off. It's just not enough. The follow-up damage wasn't there. And they couldn't pop their own BKB on Ramses before trouble started to brew. And all of a sudden, Entity are the ones in the lead. 7k up, 18 to 23. They're one tier 2 up now. And they've got control of that bot jungle. They could try to force on the Pandas, but without the chaotic offering, it doesn't feel good. You don't have your Metamorphosis ready on Ramses either. So you're gonna have to just play it safe for a little bit longer. There is an opening for Roshan here on Entity if they wanted to. There's a nighttime Rosh right now, so it would be up top, but it's gonna switch down bot in about half a minute or less. And they could try to go for it. I'm pretty sure the Pandas would want that as well, but they probably don't feel the safest going for the Rosh. At least not until the chaotic offering's back up in solo.
Where's the Tormentor now? Fishman gonna get a nice shard for himself. Roshan is beginning to move homes now. Entity obviously kind of prepped for it already if they want to just rush for it. Line Pandas definitely do not want to allow this Roshan to go their way for free. Second Roshan of the game, so you've got the cheese up as well as the Aegis. So Entity might be the ones to jump in first and get the job started. Just going to be very careful in that small space, though, against the Primal Beast, against a Warlock, and, of course, a Storm. It can be very, very scary. Roshan already half its HP gone. 9 Pandas, they are making their way there, though they are running maybe slightly late, but they could still make it in time. Mind Kiyotaka might be forced to just zip in to try for the steal here as the Golem has been dropped already. They're still roshing. ATF's been targeted though. They've got the Aegis up. Watson will take it. Now complete chaos around the Roshan. Ramses has gone again. Kiyotaka, he's trying his best to get something for the team. But they are falling apart. Triple kill for ATF. They jumped ATF with 5 heroes and he walks out alive.
I mean, he managed to pop his refresh, get the double Eye of the Storm going. You don't want to fight into that. You get softened up so damn fast. Really good snowball as well to stall out that initiation here with our Tusk. And that just throws off 9 Pandas. I mean, they were way too slow to go into the Rosh. They didn't get the big usage they'd want. The chaotic offering was really only onto 1. They couldn't get the chains off. They couldn't get Miero to kind of be up front there. And now they have to hold high ground without Metamorphosis, without Chaotic Offering. A huge opening for Entity to just clear out this map. Are going to play it safe, maybe gun for a tier 2 first. But again, that was just a very almost desperate attempt coming out from Pandas. And Roche just falls so damn fast when you've got Sven. Like, Watson held off to the last second to pop that Godstrand. Once he saw 9 Pandas, that's when he decided to pop it, clear it out, and look for the follow-up fight.
It's very dire straits here for 9 Pandas, I think, here, Jonathan. I mean, it's not looking good at all this game. Ramses' KDA, by the way, 666 is the KDA he has right now, which is rather ironic for Ramses. Beautiful. But you love to see it. We love the memes, Ramses. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, God. It's such a tough game for this Terrorblade.
That's why they call him Ramses 666, John. We know the lore now. Very, very good.
Yep. It's his ideal KDA. That's how you know Ramses is unlocking his full potential here. I mean, the BKB is just not doing enough for Ramses. Honestly, it feels like they need to stack Lincolns on him. Block off the kick, block off the punch. You didn't have to worry about the kick last time, but Kataomi's got that Ags up. I mean, this is just not a simple Terrorblade game. There's so much pressure on Kiyotaka and on Miero to just jump that back line.
Bottom lane Entity, they're looking for an entrance, I think, for a fight. T2 mid tower is going to go down. Aegis is still up on Watson. They found Ramses. But pulverizes out. Miro's going to save Watson. He'll make his walk up, and now the kickback onto Solo, finding the Warlock. He can't get anything off in time. Solo is down, but he'll buy back. Miro, look, going to keep going, but they have not got the initiation. And now Watson with the double stun, almost finding Ramses again, forcing the BKB out. Oh, goodness. Now you're fighting without a BKB on Ramses. I don't know if this is really a great fight for them to force, but they have actually smoked up as 5. They've still got the Metamorphosis available on the TB, so they could go for it. In the end, it seems like Entity will be the ones to back off anyways. They have run out of God Strength, so no need to force an ugly fight. The ATF might give them an opportunity. ATF, he'll get side device up by Kiyotaka. Snowball will buy a bit of time as ATF now going to turn like the Giga Chat he is. He's going to try. Kiyotaka, you're getting dangerously low, but no, he's okay now. Watson's into the middle, but this is looking rather ugly, this team fight for Entity that is as Watson. He is down. Meanwhile, ATF though, he's got Miro down. Watson still 10 seconds away from God Strength. Now the Soulbind, it'll hold them both down. Stormer still rolling around, but he's right on the spot. Kiyotaka still alive, does avoid the swash, avoids the shield crash. Stormer still desperately trying to find the Storm, but it's not enough. He avoids everything, and Stormer will drop.
Oh my God.
Why is the question, Jonathan? Why you go in like that is the question. ATF, he does survive, but 3 of his teammates die for it.
Way too many sacrifices made. A lot of heads-up plays there from 9 Pandas. Like, the kickback onto Kiyotaka, forced out. Storm not the ideal to kind of push away there, as he has mobility with a ball lightning. The soul bind at the last second to save Kiyotaka. He was just stuck in that tree line. He had no mana to zip away. That well-timed soul bind coming out there from Antares, just giving him that spacing, allowing him to get another use of the vortex before zipping off, and just kind of stalling out. A lot of plays as well with the force stabs. I believe Kiyotaka was forced away a couple of times just to save, misaligning the swash coming through there from Stormer. That was a fight of margins, very small margins, and 9 Pandas finds all of those working out in their favor. Again, it's down to spell usage, I think, that last fight. They couldn't punch or kick the Terrorblade away, and they had to focus on the Storm. The Hex from Kiyotaka allowing them some really strong setup to open up these fights now.
Miero, jump in, Kataomi, he's got the kickback. Miero, though, he's got the backup by Kiyotaka, so they might just find the Tusker, and they will, but now the Static Storm had to drop. Still, Kiyotaka is out of it, and will be able to just walk away. In goes Watson now, looking for the Primal Beast, and that's just so much damage. They'll get Antares instead. Miero barely getting himself out of this. They did pop the God Strength, so they want to keep going for a fight, but nobody's really left behind. Everyone has left the building from 9 Pandas.
Just need to play it a little bit safe right now for the side of Entity and the side of the Pandas. There is one big tool already here on Entity, though. They've got the full Ags with Fishman. So the muting on the Static Storm, that is going to be the difference maker. Kiyotaka's always got to preemptively pop his BKB. Same thing goes with Miara and Ramses in the middle of these fights. They can't afford to hold it till the last second. And we'll see if Entity can make use of those tools. Some decent punishment. Again, not the biggest kill in the world. Does widen their lead up to 10k. But this is anyone's game at this point, Mike. 37 minutes in. An 8k lead. It's still sizable, but that's really down to probably just this difference with Miero and everyone else. Just kind of suffering on the Primal Beast just a bit, but it's not like this hero needs too much farm anyway. You know, Miero can still get the job done with very little in his way. So,
I mean,
yeah, you're still happy here.
He's got the shards now up, John. The rock throw is available for Miero. This is the game-changing shard, of course, that we all know of. This rock throw is just too broken.
I mean, a lot of teams actually... They time themselves really well with a rock throw. Like, you can see a vortex into a rock throw. You know, even just small stack stuns like that can feel massive. Entity though smoking up here.
Yeah, 5-man smoke around the Radiant Triangle. Solo's going to be the one to break the smoke onto Stormer, but he does force staff away. Still Kataomi, he gets side the Vice, the Golem drop. Watson though, Watson's in the back. He does get the Warlock, and now Miera's going to be targeted. They can't deal with the Sven. He does still jump away though, but the 4-star forward. Watson really wants the Primal Beast. Meanwhile, Ramsey's being chased by ATF. He is down again.
No buybacks.
They just cannot survive this Razor. They can't survive the Sven. And I don't think they can survive the game any longer. Like, you can't do with the offlane Razor, let alone the Sven here, John. I don't see what the point is.
I mean, that was just really good patience out from Entity. They forced that fight still. There was vision there from 9 Pandas to see that smoke break, and the Pandas don't fully retreat. They force that fight in. They don't show respect for that mobility. They don't show respect for the refresh on Amar. And they did manage to get caught out in that static storm. Like, Miaro couldn't pop the BKB earlier enough, so he couldn't get the pulverize off for the control in the middle of the fights, which was one changing factor in that engagement. You did manage to get your preemptive BKBs off on Kiyotaka and on Ramses. It's just not enough. You actually need that Primal Beast with a hold on the pulverize to find these openings. High ground gets opened up. Respawn's not too far off, but that's at least a set of racks going down here without these buybacks, and a huge advantage opening up for Entity. And the build-up of Amar, like just going for the refresh, having the Satanic, having his shard up, like that pullback meant that Ramses had nowhere to go. You just can't do anything.
The thing is, well, you can't fight him because ATF, at least earlier, he was just going full armor build-up. He had like 50 armor without Warcry. So he's just taking no damage from Ramses. He can just tank all this damage without any problems. With the Warcry active, it's a lot more than that, let me tell you. It's the classic double Wraith bans earlier on were making it so he could just run in without being afraid of anything.
Yeah, and he's just basically going for a right click now. Going for his own butterfly up. It's going to need an MKB in response here for Ramsey, but he wants his own butterfly as well. 2 racks is down. The Pandas, I mean, for them, they have to execute this team fight perfectly. Some of that pressure will be alleviated once Kiyotaka does have his Ags up, but that's still a ways off here, and that's going to leave him without buyback.
ATF got a free cheese. They just left the cheese in the pit. ATF gets it for himself, and now they're going to get another cheese, John. More importantly, they've got an Ag's Blessing and an Aegis to take. Are we going to see Superman make his appearance?
I don't know if it's fully necessary. I think the more winning play would probably be on Amar, honestly. Just have that free Eye of the Storm. With a refresh, with all of those hits, the minus armor stacks up rapidly. And yeah, they'll go with Amar. It's so high impact in the Razor. It just allows you to also just go for the end play with the damage onto the building. So I can't fault them for that. One fight is all it'll take for Entity. One pickoff would probably end this game if 9 Pandas aren't careful.
This next team fight's gonna hurt a lot. Like 2 targets with that Eye of the Storm, just so much minus armor being provided by ATF, and just the damage output obviously pretty insane. And 9 Pandas not out of the game yet. Only 1 Rax is left standing for him though, so they're in dire straits. And I mean, it's gonna be very, very tough with the Refresher Orb and Ag Static Eye of the Storm. You just can't fight this guy. You need to win somehow.
I'm not sure what.
Amar.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what saves you here on the Pandas. I mean, you've already got 4 staffs to try to save. You've got at least 1 Lotus Orb, I believe. Did I see? Not even a Lotus Orb. You at least have... Yeah, no, a Lotus Orb on solo, but I think the ideal is really a Lincoln's to Toronto Ramsey somehow. But again, with all the refreshes, it's just near impossible.
Here we go. Entity running right into solo again. Kiyotaka will see him as well. They will not go after the Sven instead. In fact, he's the one to jump in. Watson trying to go right after the Warlock, but the Golem has been dropped at least before he does go down. Now Miera making the jump in with the Pulverize out onto 1. It's not doing much though. ATF is still just rushing towards the TB. Ramses can do nothing. He has no damage left. They call it. GG, well played. I mean, what do you do?